Hi, I'm Anna of all trades, former city dweller turned organic farmer. 6 months ago, my husband and I moved across the country to completely start over here in Tennessee. And suddenly, we found ourselves in the middle of a pandemic.
This video is brought to you by Squarespace.
8 years ago, I picked up my first tool and planted my first seed. And though I've been moving towards self-sufficiency for quite a while, we had not gotten anything established here in Tennessee yet, and found ourselves in the same situation as I think pretty much everyone else when the pandemic hit, wondering where our food was going to come from and how we were going to take care of our family. My grandfather, one of the biggest influences on my young life, lived through the Great Depression, and one of the most valuable lessons he taught me was how to make do with what you've got to get what you need. And this garden is very much a product of that. So let me take you on a tour of my pandemic garden. This isn't quite the perfectly manicured garden I imagined that I would have when I moved to Tennessee. Where I'm sitting used to be a patch of dirt, clay, weeds, and a few patches of grass. As you can see, it very much is still that to some degree, but even transforming it this much was a way bigger challenge than I'd originally expected. In Seattle, I built up my whole garden using a shovel. In Tennessee, that shovel went about 1/4 of an inch deep, and I realized I was going to need to call in some favors. I obviously didn't have a tractor, but I did have some beer, and my neighbor had a tractor, so I was able to use one of the other things my grandpa taught me, which is bartering, to get what you need. He came over, tilled it up, and we were able to form some garden beds. The next huge obstacle I had to face was how to keep these lovely little pests out of my garden. With stores closed, with no truck or trailer to get things even if they were open, I had to get super creative, and that's why we have this beautiful little triangle-shaped garden, because I had exactly this many fence panels left over from fencing for the animals. A couple of very sweaty days and some socially distant help from a few friends got the garden beds where they needed to be so that we could get seeds into the ground, but then the garden had to just kind of do its own thing because, as life does, it took over. Once I'd zip-tied the fence together, yes, I'm serious about that, I had no fastening supplies, you make do with what you got. It was time to get some seeds in the ground. One thing I was so excited to grow for the first time in the South was watermelon. So obviously, put some watermelons in the ground. I actually already accidentally weed-whacked one of my watermelons, and it was delicious, although a little grassy on the inside. Along this row behind me, I planted a whole bunch of fruiting varieties of things that are going to take a while to get established. So in the meantime, not wanting to waste space, but also wanting to provide their roots some shade, I put a bunch of other stuff in with them, like some dahlias, some corn that would grow up against the fence line. Some of it has done worse than others. Some squash, some more squash, some asparagus. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. In this row, I originally planted a whole bunch of different things: kales, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, but we had a horrible infestation of cabbage worms, which wiped a whole lot of that stuff out. Now, if I were spending a whole lot more time in the garden, I probably would have caught some of that stuff, but you win some and you lose some, so where those failed, I went ahead and put some beans in the ground just a couple weeks ago, which will grow up and use this space well instead. I love these yellow tomatoes for slicing on sandwiches, putting them on caprese platters. They're hearty, they last a long time, and they're delicious. As my tomatoes started to get bigger, they needed support, and normally I would just go get some tomato cages, but once again that wasn't an option, so I made do with what I had available. There's a whole video about building these bamboo tomato cages. You can check that out on my channel by clicking above. This tomato jungle that I'm standing in right now is exactly what happens when you choose to let your garden be a little bit lower maintenance. Ideally, I'd be coming in here and clipping off the suckers on my tomatoes every day. That would help them to set more fruit, it would help them to ripen the fruit that they have, but I haven't done that super well this season, and I still have a ton of tomatoes, so we'll be okay. You'll see here that my pepper plants are actually shaded by my tomato plants, and it's a little counterintuitive, but later in the season, pepper plants actually really love having a little bit of shade, so it works out nicely. This is actually also a really exciting moment because this is my first ripe watermelon. Once they start to sound hollow, they're good to go. And while we're back here, I'm going to show you my proudest accomplishment from southern gardening, my Okra Forest. I absolutely love fried okra, so being able to grow a few different varieties here is so dang exciting. Behind my okra, you can see my sweet potato patch, and that's another thing that I'm growing for the first time here that I'm so excited about. I actually sprouted them in my office. It smelled horrible. I can't really recommend doing that inside, but look what it turned into. Here I planted some lemongrass for Thai cooking, I saved seeds from all my mammoth sunflowers in Seattle and planted those along this fence line. Growing up on it, we have some cucumbers, some pumpkins and squash, some maypops, a little okra poking out there. Here I had a few herbs planted, and obviously my dill is somewhat beyond the end of its life, but there's still some good fronds in here for the pickling. In here I had some kale and lettuces planted that it's way too hot for now, so in their stead I have planted some squash and some cucumbers that will grow up and fill this bare soil. This monstrosity next to me is called Amaranth. It's an ancient grain that people use as a cereal replacer. You can grind the seeds into flour, but it's also a fantastic trap plant, aka it basically attracts a lot of predators in the garden to itself, but it's not hurt by them. So in so doing, it saves my other plants from potential damage. Behind me I've got another variety of okra, a super sweet 100 tomato plant. Right here I've got some arugula. This is one of my absolute favorites. I've let it go to flower here so I can collect some seeds, some more squash, some more amaranth, a fruit tree that's really struggling, and a whole row of more wedding dahlias. In here I've got my fall crop of beans starting to come up, some more watermelon behind me, some more beans, and I hope you're starting to notice all of the weeds that are everywhere around me. And these are actually a big part of my no or low maintenance garden. Weeds can do so much to help us as long as we're not fighting them constantly. I control the weeds in the pathway with a weed whacker and a flame torch as much as possible, and when they start to encroach on the beds, I will pull them and leave them, but they actually do a ton to help me with moisture control in the garden. They bring nutrients up from deeper in the soil, and if you're keeping them clipped so they don't go to seed, they really won't spread that much, and they end up actually helping you more than hurting you in the long run. The most special thing about this garden to me are all of these dahlias that are planted amidst everything else. These dahlias actually came from bulbs that my dad and I planted for me to carry in my wedding bouquet in our first house in Seattle. I have transplanted them in every garden we've moved to, and to see them thriving here in Tennessee is just so dang special. My first crop of squash and pumpkins is just starting to finish up right now, but the best news is that we still have enough time in the season to plant more, so I've already got some more seeds in the ground. At the beginning of the season, I made a whole video about this little herb garden that is now absolutely thriving. So if you want to know more about soil composition and how I get away without weeding my garden or watering my garden, make sure you check that out. Click the thingy above. Even though there's a lot more weeds in the garden than I would like, even though it's not quite the same shape or design that I'd originally dreamed about when we were moving here, and even though I haven't had nearly enough time to dedicate to tending the garden, it has still produced a massive bounty of food. I'm picking harvests like this almost every day from the garden, and in the midst of the pandemic, we went for 45 days without having to go to the grocery store. And on the 45th day, I actually cracked, not because we needed anything, but because I wanted some potato chips. I'm so thankful that I now live in a place that I can trade a case of beer for some tractor work. But you don't have to live in the middle of nowhere to create this kind of security for yourself. Take a page out of my grandpa's book and use what you've got to do the things that you need. If you live in an apartment, you can plant something in your windowsill. If you live in a house, you can dig up part of your yard and put in a garden. The best way to learn how to do this stuff is by trial and error, and I have failed far more times than I've succeeded with the garden, but each one is an opportunity to learn and to get better. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to take all of your time or money or resources. I've been able to skip going to the grocery store all summer long, all because I made do with what I had. And what I have is a big patch of weeds with some seeds growing in it. Because I do have so much going on all the time, it's not just the garden that has to take up as little time and effort as possible, it's also the cooking. So when I show garden produce like this, I also want to show how to use it. And to that end, I have put my favorite 20-minute farm-to-table dinner recipes up on my Squarespace website. I've hosted my website on Squarespace since I started my business in 2012. It is a perfect platform for people who aren't super tech savvy, like me, to take whatever information they want to share online and drag and drop it into beautiful artist-designed templates. If you have a gallery of photos you want to share with potential clients online, or if you want to start a blog, or if you're like me and you just need a place on the internet for people to find you, a place to sell merchandise and sell plans and tell your life story, then head on over to squarespace.com to check it out. And when you're ready to launch your site, go to squarespace.com/AnnofAllTrades for a 10% discount. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, I have a whole playlist of homesteading videos for you to check out. Make sure that you subscribe and turn those notifications on. I will see you in the next video. Cheers! My grandfather, one of the biggest influences on my young life, lived through the Great Depression. The Great Depression? This This monstrosity next to me is called Amaranth, which now we're in a tornado. 400 takes later. After the soil, the next biggest obstacle was needing a fence because I have some. Did he just walk out of the shot right at the time? Yeah. Oh wait. Stop this. Taylor Swift. Do you mind, buddy?